Have you ever experienced the sharp sting of giving someone space only to wonder what would happen next? Maybe they left without explanation, or perhaps the connection just faded. Either way, you're left in the silence, questioning everything. Will they miss you? Will they realize your value? Or worse, will they simply move on? These questions have likely lingered in your mind, as they do for many of us. But here's the twist. Sometimes the most powerful transformations happen when you step back. Today, we'll explore the intriguing phenomenon of why people often return after you've given them distance. Not just as a curiosity, but as a deeply transformative truth that can reshape how you approach relationships and perhaps even how you see yourself. Stoicism teaches us to focus on what we can control, and understanding this dynamic is a perfect example of applying that principle to relationships. This video isn't about playing games or creating artificial scarcity. It's about diving deep into the why. Why does distance work? And why does it lead people back to you? We're unpacking 7 reasons, each built on emotional depth, self-awareness, and authentic human connection. By the end, you'll have a blueprint to navigate not just romantic relationships, but also friendships and family dynamics, using wisdom that resonates with Stoicism and the core principles of Stoic relationships. Let's start with the first reason. It's a powerful one that lays the groundwork for everything else. They felt your absence more deeply than they expected. 1. They felt your absence more deeply than expected. Distance is a strange thing. On the surface, it's a gap, an emptiness that separates two people. But in reality, distance has a way of amplifying what was already there. When someone leaves your life, they often don't anticipate the void it will create. They might think they can move on easily, but absence has a unique way of deepening awareness. Think about it. How often do we truly appreciate something until it's gone? A favorite coffee shop, a peaceful morning routine, or even a relationship that felt steady and secure. When these things disappear, the quiet becomes deafening. For the person who left or pulled away, your absence isn't just physical, it's emotional, mental, and even spiritual. Now let's dig deeper. Why does absence have this effect? For one, humans are wired to notice contrasts. In the noise of everyday life, the things we take for granted blend into the background. But when they're gone, the contrast is sharp and undeniable. This applies to relationships too. Your presence, your support, your energy, all of it becomes glaringly apparent when it's no longer there. Ask yourself this. What part of your presence might they miss the most? Is it your steady encouragement, your sense of humor, or the quiet strength you brought to the connection? These qualities don't just fade away when you're gone, they leave an imprint, a reminder of what's missing. And this reminder grows louder over time. Here's where Stoicism comes in. Instead of fixating on their reaction to your absence, focus on your own growth. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Use the time apart to cultivate your own well-being. Whether they return or not, you've gained something invaluable: resilience and clarity. But why does their realization hit harder over time? It's simple. People often overestimate their ability to replace what they've lost. They think they can find someone else who offers the same emotional depth, the same connection. But relationships are not interchangeable commodities. The uniqueness of what you brought to their life becomes undeniable when compared to superficial or fleeting interactions with others. Let me paint a picture for you. Imagine someone walking through a field of identical flowers. They pick one, admire it, but soon discard it, thinking another will be just as beautiful. But what if the flower they let go wasn't like the rest? What if it had a rare fragrance, a unique color, or a resilience the others lacked? That's you. The rarity of your presence becomes more pronounced the longer they walk without it. And here's another question. How does absence shape your own perspective? While they're realizing what they've lost, you're gaining something equally powerful: insight. Distance allows you to see the relationship more clearly, free from the emotional haze that proximity often creates. It gives you the opportunity to evaluate what worked, what didn't, and whether their return is something you even desire. The truth is, their return isn't just about missing you. It's about the depth of the connection they've lost. They didn't expect the silence to echo so loudly. They didn't expect their world to feel so much smaller without you in it. As we move forward, keep this in mind. Their return is not your validation. It's a reflection of their own journey. Your worth was never tied to their realization, it was there all along. So when they come back, consider this. Are they returning because they've truly understood your value, or are they simply uncomfortable with the void? This is where Stoicism guides us once again. Instead of rushing to fill the gap they left, pause, reflect. Ask yourself what you truly want. And remember, the absence they felt was not an accident. It was a result of your presence, your uniqueness, and your strength. That's the foundation of everything we'll discuss today. Let's keep going. Each of the next reasons will build on this idea, creating a full picture of why distance is so transformative in relationships. 2. They had time to reflect on their actions. Time and space have a way of forcing us to confront truths we'd rather ignore. When someone pulls away from a relationship, whether out of frustration, fear, or uncertainty, they may not immediately understand the consequences of their actions. But as the days turn into weeks and the silence stretches out, they're left alone with their thoughts. That's when the real work begins. Let me ask you, have you ever made a decision in the heat of the moment, only to regret it once you had time to reflect? Maybe you said something you didn't mean, or you let someone go before fully understanding what they brought into your life. That regret doesn't surface right away, it takes time to build. And in the context of relationships, it's often the quiet that brings clarity. When you gave them distance, you unknowingly created a space for self-reflection. In that space, they began to see the ripple effects of their choices. Did they dismiss your feelings in a moment of selfishness? Did they take your support for granted, assuming it would always be there? Or maybe they walked away because they were unwilling to confront their own insecurities. Whatever the case, your absence became a mirror, forcing them to look inward. Here's an example. Imagine someone standing by a still lake. When they first arrive, they see only the surface, calm, undisturbed. But as they linger, they begin to notice their reflection. The longer they look, the clearer it becomes. This is what happens when you step back. You allow them to see themselves in ways they couldn't when the relationship was clouded by immediate emotions or distractions. Why does reflection matter so much? Because it's through reflection that growth happens. When they're no longer caught up in the day-to-day dynamics of the relationship, they're able to assess their role in what went wrong. Maybe they realized they were quick to criticize but slow to appreciate. Perhaps they see how their fear of vulnerability led them to push you away. These realizations aren't easy, they're often uncomfortable, even painful, but they're necessary for any meaningful change to occur. This is where Stoicism offers profound guidance. Instead of reacting emotionally to their absence or their eventual return, focus on what you can control, your own growth and perspective. As Epictetus famously said, "It is not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." When you gave them distance, you weren't just giving them space, you were giving yourself the freedom to choose how to respond, to grow stronger, and to find clarity. But let's not overlook an important point. Not everyone reflects in the same way. For some, reflection leads to genuine change. They come back with a clearer understanding of what they want and a renewed commitment to the relationship. For others, the discomfort of reflection may prompt a superficial return, a desire to ease their guilt or fill a temporary void. How can you tell the difference? Pay attention to their actions, not just their words. True reflection results in accountability. They'll acknowledge their mistakes without making excuses. They'll show a willingness to rebuild trust, not just a desire to slip back into old patterns. This is where your own sense of discernment becomes crucial. Here's something to consider. When they reflect on their actions, they're not just thinking about what went wrong, they're also remembering the things that went right. The kindness you showed, the times you supported them when no one else did, the moments of laughter and connection that made the relationship unique. These memories don't fade, they grow stronger in your absence. And this brings us to an important question for you. Are you ready to evaluate their return with the same level of honesty they've, hopefully, applied to their reflection. It's tempting to accept someone back simply because you miss them, but Stoicism reminds us to act with intention, not impulse. Ask yourself, does their return align with your values? Do their actions demonstrate growth? And most importantly, does their presence contribute to your peace of mind? Now, let's take a moment to reflect on something else, your role in this dynamic. When you gave them distance, you didn't just disappear. You likely used that time to focus on yourself, to rediscover your passions, and to strengthen your sense of self-worth. That's powerful. It means that when they come back, they're not returning to the same version of you they left. They're coming back to someone who has grown, who has evolved, and who is capable of setting healthy boundaries. This leads us to another question. How does your growth influence their reflection? When they see that you flourished in their absence, it can trigger a deeper realization of what they lost. It's not about making them feel guilty. It's about showing, through your actions, that your worth was never dependent on their presence. This is the essence of Stoic relationships, valuing yourself and your own growth above external validation. Before we move on, I'd like to hear from you. Does this idea of reflection resonate with your own experiences? Have you ever had someone come back into your life after realizing their mistakes? If so, how did you handle it? Like this video and comment number 1 below if you've ever been in this situation or found this insight helpful. And if you're finding value in this discussion, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. We're building a community of people who are passionate about personal growth, meaningful relationships, and applying the principles of Stoicism to everyday life. You won't want to miss the next part of this journey, so hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. Finally, let me leave you with this thought. Reflection is a powerful tool, but it's only the beginning. As we explore the next reasons why they came back, you'll see how their realizations connect to deeper emotional truths and the unique qualities you bring to the relationship. Stay tuned, there's so much more to uncover. 3. They missed the connection you shared. Human connection is one of the most profound experiences we can have. It's what anchors us, gives us purpose, and fills our lives with meaning. When someone steps away from a relationship, they often underestimate the depth of the connection they're leaving behind. But as time passes, the realization sets in. Some connections aren't easily replaced. Think about the connections you've cherished in your life. What made them special? Was it the unspoken understanding, the way you could share your thoughts without fear of judgment, or the laughter that came so naturally? These moments of connection are more than just fleeting experiences. They create bonds that linger long after the relationship itself has been put on pause. When you gave them distance, it wasn't just your physical presence they missed. They missed you, your unique energy, your kindness, your quirks, and the way you made them feel understood. This realization often comes slowly, but when it does, it's powerful. They start to remember the comfort of having someone who truly saw them, someone who understood their struggles and celebrated their victories. Let's pause here for a moment. Have you ever noticed how certain memories stick with you, even when you try to move on? A shared joke, a meaningful conversation, or even a simple gesture of kindness. These aren't just memories, they're reminders of the emotional connection you had. And for them, these reminders grow louder the longer you're apart. But why does this connection become so significant over time? Part of the answer lies in the nature of human relationships. In today's fast-paced world, meaningful connections are rare. People often settle for surface-level interactions, avoiding vulnerability and depth. When someone has experienced a genuine connection with you, a connection built on trust, empathy, and mutual respect, it becomes something they can't easily replicate. This brings us to an important point. Your connection wasn't just about what you gave to them, it was about the dynamic you shared. You brought something unique to the relationship, something that can't be reduced to a checklist of qualities. Maybe it was your ability to listen without interrupting, your calm presence in the face of chaos, or your unwavering belief in their potential. These things aren't just valuable, they're irreplaceable. Now let's consider their perspective. When they try to fill the gap left by your absence, they might turn to other relationships or distractions. At first, this might seem satisfying, but over time they'll start to notice the difference. The conversations might lack depth, the laughter might feel forced, and the sense of understanding they once had with you will feel like a distant memory. Here's the truth. The connection you shared wasn't accidental. It was the result of two people coming together with authenticity and openness. When they lose that, they're not just losing you, they're losing the part of themselves that felt seen and valued in your presence. But let's flip the script for a moment. While they're reflecting on the connection they've lost, you've been given a rare opportunity. The chance to strengthen your connection with yourself. Stoicism teaches us to find peace within, to cultivate a relationship with our own thoughts and emotions. This time apart isn't just about them missing you, it's about you rediscovering your own strength and resilience. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Dwell on the beauty of life. Watch the stars and see yourself running with them." This quote reminds us that our connections with others are important, but they're not the sole source of our worth. While they're realizing what they've lost, you're gaining a deeper appreciation for your own value. Now let's dive deeper. Why is it so difficult to let go of meaningful connections? It's because they touch something fundamental within us. They remind us that we're not alone, that someone understands us in a way no one else does. For them, your absence has likely created a sense of isolation, a feeling that something vital is missing. And as this realization grows, so does their desire to reconnect. But here's the catch. Not all reconnections are created equal. When they come back, it's crucial to evaluate their intentions. Are they returning because they genuinely miss the connection you shared, or are they simply uncomfortable with the emptiness they feel? This distinction matters. A return rooted in genuine appreciation can lead to growth and healing, but a return driven by loneliness or fear is less likely to result in lasting change. As we reflect on this, consider your own perspective. What does a meaningful connection look like to you? What qualities do you value in a relationship? And most importantly, how can you ensure that any reconnection aligns with your values and boundaries? This is where Stoic relationships come into play. A Stoic approach to relationships emphasizes self-awareness, intentionality, and emotional balance. It's about understanding that while connections with others are important, they should never come at the expense of your own well-being. So as they navigate their feelings and come to terms with what they've lost, remember this. The connection you shared was a reflection of your authenticity and strength. It was something rare and meaningful, and its impact was greater than you may realize. And while they're rediscovering the value of that connection, you're free to continue your own journey, stronger, wiser, and more attuned to what truly matters. Because in the end, the most important connection you'll ever have is the one you build with yourself. This isn't the end of the story. As we move to the next reason, we'll explore how the reality of being without you forces them to confront truths they may have been avoiding. Each reason builds on the last, creating a complete picture of why they came back and why your growth is the key to navigating their return. 4. They were tested by the reality of being without you. When someone steps away from a relationship, they often believe they'll thrive without the connection they're leaving behind. Maybe they think the grass will be greener, or they convince themselves that life without you will be simpler, easier. But the reality of being without you, that's an entirely different story. Let's consider this for a moment. How often do we underestimate the role someone plays in our lives? When things are good, it's easy to take them for granted. We assume the comfort, the understanding, and the support will always be there. But once those things are gone, the world feels colder, harsher, and less fulfilling. This is the reality they face when you give them distance. Your presence wasn't just a convenience, it was a foundation. You may have been their sounding board during difficult times, the person who brought stability to chaos, or the one who inspired them to see their potential. When that foundation is removed, the cracks in their world become impossible to ignore. Here's a question to consider. What did your presence mean to them on a day-to-day basis? Was it the way you listened without judgment? The way you made them laugh even on their hardest days? Or was it the quiet reassurance that someone truly cared about them? These things might have seemed small at the time, but their absence looms large when you're no longer there. Let's take a closer look at what happens when they face the reality of being without you. At first, they may feel a sense of freedom or relief. They convince themselves that they'll thrive without the challenges or expectations that come with the relationship. But as time passes, the void left by your absence becomes undeniable. They begin to realize that the freedom they thought they wanted feels hollow without the connection they lost. Why does this happen? It's simple. People often confuse convenience with fulfillment. They might believe that a relationship's challenges overshadow its benefits, but when the benefits are gone, they're forced to confront the truth. Your presence wasn't just a convenience, it brought depth, meaning, and purpose to their life. Now think about this from a Stoic perspective. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this, and you will find strength. When they left, they thought the outside event, your absence, would be manageable. But as time went on, they realized their internal strength was tied to the support you provided. Here's the catch. This realization doesn't always come with humility. Some people return because they're genuinely ready to embrace change and rebuild the connection. Others return because they're uncomfortable with the emptiness they feel. It's up to you to discern their intentions. Are they coming back because they truly value the relationship, or are they simply trying to avoid the discomfort of being alone? Ask yourself this. If they return, what do you need from them to feel secure in the connection? Are they willing to take accountability for their actions? Are they ready to address the issues that led to the separation? And most importantly, do they see your worth in the same way they should have all along? It's not just their journey that matters here, it's yours. While they were grappling with the reality of being without you, you were building your own strength. You used the time apart to reflect, grow, and realign with your values. And that growth is something they'll notice when they come back. This is where Stoic relationships truly shine. They're built on mutual respect, self-awareness, and intentional effort. When someone returns after facing the reality of being without you, the question isn't just whether they've changed. It's whether their return aligns with the life you've built for yourself. Let's return to the idea of being tested. Life has a way of revealing what truly matters when we're stripped of distractions. For them, being without you may have been one of the hardest tests they've faced. It forced them to see the cracks in their own foundation, to recognize the ways they relied on you, not just for support, but for the sense of purpose and connection you brought to their life. But this isn't just about them. It's also about you reclaiming your power. You've seen what life looks like without them, and you've discovered your own resilience in the process. You've learned to stand on your own, to find fulfillment within yourself. That's a lesson they'll notice when they come back, and it's one that sets the tone for the relationship moving forward. Before we move on, let me ask, has this idea of being tested by absence resonated with you? Have you experienced a situation where someone left, only to realize later that their life wasn't the same without you? If so, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Like this video and comment number 1 below if this resonates with your experience. And if you're enjoying this conversation, make sure to subscribe to the channel. We're building a community of people who are passionate about personal growth, meaningful connections, and applying Stoicism to their relationships. Hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next part of this journey. As we move to the next reason, we'll explore how your growth in their absence might have made you even more irresistible. Each reason builds on the last, creating a full picture of why they came back and why you're stronger because of it. 5. They saw growth in you from afar. One of the most compelling reasons someone returns after you've given them distance is the growth they see in you. When you step away from a relationship, it creates space, not just for them to reflect, but for you to evolve. In that space, you may have found new ways to grow, to thrive, and to redefine your sense of self. And that growth doesn't go unnoticed. Have you ever observed someone after a long time apart and been struck by how much they've changed? Perhaps they seemed more confident, more grounded, or more focused. That transformation is magnetic because it signals strength and resilience, qualities that are universally attractive. When they see that you've grown in their absence, it can trigger a deep realization of what they lost. Let's explore why this is so impactful. Growth is a testament to your inner strength. It shows that you didn't just survive the separation, you thrived in it. You used the time to better yourself, to focus on your goals, and to rediscover what truly matters to you. This kind of growth is rare, and it stands out in a world where many people remain stagnant. What does this growth look like? It could be as simple as taking better care of yourself, physically, emotionally, or mentally. Maybe you've developed new skills, pursued passions you once neglected, or strengthened your relationships with others. Or perhaps it's an internal shift, a newfound sense of peace and clarity that radiates outward. From their perspective, this growth is both inspiring and humbling. When someone leaves a relationship, they often assume they'll move on while the other person remains stuck. But when they see you flourishing, it challenges that assumption. It forces them to reevaluate their own choices and question whether they truly understood your strength and potential. This brings us to an important question. How does your growth affect their perception of you? It's not just about the external changes they see, it's about the energy you carry. Growth has a way of transforming not just how we look or act, but how we feel. When you've invested in yourself, you exude confidence and self-assurance, qualities that are impossible to ignore. But here's the thing. Your growth wasn't for them. It wasn't a strategy to win them back or prove a point. It was for you. Stoicism teaches us to focus on what we can control, and your growth is a perfect example of that principle in action. Instead of dwelling on their absence, you chose to focus on your own journey, your own progress, and in doing so, you reclaimed your power. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." This idea is at the heart of your growth. The challenge of the separation wasn't an obstacle, it was an opportunity. You used it as a catalyst for change, transforming adversity into strength. Now, let's consider how they might view this transformation. At first, they might feel a sense of surprise, even disbelief. They may have expected you to struggle, to remain in the same place emotionally or mentally. But instead, they're confronted with someone who has grown. Someone who has used the distance to evolve into a stronger, more self-assured version of themselves. This realization can be both inspiring and intimidating. On one hand, they may feel drawn to your newfound strength and independence. On the other, they may question whether they're capable of meeting you at your new level. Growth has a way of raising the bar, not just for yourself, but for those who want to be a part of your life. This leads to an important reflection. Does their return align with the person you've become? Growth often shifts our priorities and perspectives, and it's possible that the person they're returning to is not the same person they left. Are they ready to embrace the changes you've made? Are they willing to grow alongside you, or are they hoping to return to the past? From a Stoic perspective, this is where your discernment becomes crucial. Stoicism reminds us to act with intention, to evaluate situations based on reason and alignment with our values. As you assess their return, ask yourself, does this relationship support my growth? Does it align with the life I'm building for myself? At the same time, remember that their recognition of your growth is a testament to your resilience. It's a reflection of the effort you've put into becoming the best version of yourself, even in the face of challenges. And whether or not their return leads to reconciliation, your growth is something they can't take away. But let's not overlook the most important part of this transformation, how it feels for you. Growth isn't just about how others perceive you, it's about how you perceive yourself. It's about the confidence that comes from knowing you've faced adversity and come out stronger. It's about the peace that comes from aligning your actions with your values. And it's about the joy of rediscovering your potential and pursuing your goals with renewed purpose. As we reflect on this, consider how your growth has shaped your perspective on relationships. Are you now clearer about what you want and need from a partner? Have you developed a deeper sense of self-worth and self-respect? These are the true gifts of growth, and they're the foundation of any healthy, fulfilling connection. Their return is not the end of your journey. It's a chapter in a larger story. As we move to the next reason, we'll explore how their absence may have deepened their feelings for you, bringing new emotional truths to light. Each step builds on the last, creating a full picture of why they came back. and why your growth is the key to navigating their return. 6. They realized their feelings were deeper than they knew. Sometimes it takes distance for someone to truly understand the depth of their feelings. In the hustle and noise of everyday life, emotions can get buried under distractions, routines, or even denial. But when you give them space, their feelings have room to rise to the surface, demanding attention in ways they can't ignore. Think about this for a moment. How often do we only recognize the true value of something when it's no longer within reach? It's human nature to overlook the profound in favor of the immediate. But absence has a way of amplifying emotions, forcing people to confront truths they might have avoided. For the person you gave distance to, this was likely a gradual process. At first, they may have felt confident in their decision. They told themselves they could move on, that their feelings weren't as strong as they seemed. But as time passed, a quiet realization began to take shape. Their feelings for you were far deeper than they had acknowledged. Why does this happen? Because meaningful relationships leave an emotional imprint. The laughter, the shared dreams, the moments of vulnerability. These aren't things people can easily replace or forget. And as they reflect on what they've lost, their emotions become clearer and more undeniable. Here's an important question to consider. What moments might they be replaying in their mind? Maybe it was the way you supported them during a difficult time, or how you celebrated their successes with genuine joy. Maybe it was the quiet moments of connection, when words weren't necessary because the bond was so strong. These memories aren't just sentimental, they're reminders of the emotional depth they shared with you. When they start to realize the depth of their feelings, it's often accompanied by a sense of urgency. They begin to understand that their connection with you wasn't just another relationship, it was something rare and meaningful. This urgency can drive them to reach out to try to rebuild what was lost. But here's the critical part. How do you respond to this realization? It's easy to be swept up in their emotional epiphany, especially if you've missed them too. But Stoicism reminds us to act with intention, not emotion. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it." These words guide us to evaluate their return with clarity and wisdom. Ask yourself, are their actions aligned with their words? Are they demonstrating the depth of their feelings through accountability, effort, and respect? Or are they simply overwhelmed by emotion without a clear plan for how to make the relationship work? This is where Stoic relationships offer a powerful framework. A Stoic approach emphasizes balance, valuing emotional connection without losing sight of your own needs and boundaries. Their realization of their feelings is significant, but it's not the sole factor in determining whether the relationship can thrive again. Let's consider another angle. How does their realization affect you? When someone acknowledges their deeper feelings, it can be validating. It's a reminder that your presence left an indelible mark, that you were more than just a fleeting part of their life. But it's also an opportunity for self-reflection. Does their return align with your growth and goals? Does it support the life you're building for yourself? From their perspective, this realization might feel overwhelming. Emotions they tried to suppress are now at the forefront, demanding action. They may feel regret for not appreciating you sooner, or fear that they've lost their chance to reconnect. This emotional intensity is both a motivator and a challenge. It drives them to reach out, but it also requires them to navigate their feelings with care and maturity. Here's a thought. What would you need to see from them to believe in their realization? Words can be powerful, but actions speak louder. True acknowledgement of their feelings should be accompanied by a willingness to listen, to understand your perspective, and to work through past challenges with honesty and effort. At the same time, it's essential to hold space for your own emotions. While their realization may bring clarity to their journey, it's not your responsibility to carry the weight of their emotions. Stoicism teaches us to focus on what we can control, and that includes how we respond to others' feelings. Before we move on, let's pause and reflect. Have you ever had someone come back into your life with a newfound appreciation for what you shared? How did their realization affect you, and what did it mean for the relationship? If this resonates with you, like this video and comment number 1 below. Your experiences could inspire others who are navigating similar situations. And if you're finding these insights helpful, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. By subscribing, you're joining a community that values growth, authenticity, and the wisdom of Stoicism. Hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next part of this journey. As we move forward, we'll explore the final reason why they came back, their desire to mend what was broken. This is a pivotal moment, one that ties together all the themes we've discussed so far. Stay with me as we uncover how healing and reconciliation play a role in their return. 7. They wanted to mend what was broken. When someone decides to return after time apart, it's often because they've come to a profound realization. The relationship wasn't just something they valued, it was something they now want to fix. There's a shift in their mindset, a desire to mend what was broken and rebuild trust, connection, and understanding. Let's unpack this. Why does this desire to repair emerge? For one, time apart allows people to reflect on the role they played in the relationship's challenges. It's easy to get caught up in blame or defensiveness when emotions run high, but distance creates space for a deeper level of introspection. They may begin to see how their actions or inactions contributed to the cracks in the foundation. This kind of self-awareness isn't easy. It requires humility, vulnerability, and the courage to face uncomfortable truths. But for someone who truly values the connection they had with you, this process is worth the effort. Their desire to mend the relationship stems from a recognition of its importance, a realization that what you shared isn't something they're willing to let go of without trying to make it right. Consider the nature of relationships. No connection is perfect, and conflict is inevitable. What separates a strong relationship from a fragile one is the willingness to repair and grow together. By returning with the intention of mending what was broken, they're signaling a readiness to invest in the relationship's future. But here's an essential question. How can you discern whether their desire to mend is genuine? Words are powerful, but actions speak volumes. Are they taking responsibility for their role in the past issues? Are they willing to have open, honest conversations about what went wrong? And most importantly, are they demonstrating a commitment to change through consistent effort? Stoicism offers us a valuable perspective here. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." This wisdom reminds us that true growth and reconciliation come from action, not intention alone. Their return should be accompanied by a clear willingness to address the issues that led to the separation and to work toward solutions that benefit both of you. At the same time, it's important to evaluate your own feelings and boundaries. Do you share their desire to mend the relationship? Does their return align with your personal growth and the life you've been building in their absence? Repairing a relationship is a two-way street, and both parties must be equally invested in the process. Let's take a closer look at what mending might involve. It could mean rebuilding trust that was lost, addressing unresolved conflicts, or redefining the dynamics of the relationship to better align with both of your needs. This process isn't always easy, but it's often necessary for the relationship to move forward in a healthy and sustainable way. Now, let's explore the emotional side of mending. For them, this journey likely involves a mix of hope and vulnerability. They're hoping for a second chance, but they're also aware of the risk that you might not be ready or willing to reopen the door. This vulnerability is a powerful motivator. It pushes them to approach the relationship with greater care and intention than before. But what about you? How does their return affect your emotional landscape? It's natural to feel a mix of emotions: relief, skepticism, hope, or even hesitation. These feelings are valid, and they're a reflection of the complexity of rebuilding a connection that's been strained. From a Stoic relationships perspective, this is an opportunity to practice balance and clarity. Stoicism encourages us to approach situations with reason and discernment, focusing on what we can control and letting go of what we cannot. Their return is an invitation, not an obligation. You have the power to choose whether mending the relationship is the right path for you. Here's another question to consider. What does a successful reconciliation look like to you? Is it about restoring the relationship to what it once was, Or is it about creating something new, something stronger, and more aligned with your values? This vision is crucial because it sets the tone for how you approach the process of mending. It's also worth noting that not all relationships are meant to be repaired. Sometimes, the desire to mend comes from a place of regret or fear of loss, rather than a genuine commitment to growth. This is where your discernment becomes essential. By focusing on actions rather than words, you can gain a clearer understanding of their intentions and whether they align with your own. Finally, let's reflect on the broader significance of their desire to mend. It's a testament to the impact you had on their life, a reflection of the depth and value of the connection you shared. Whether or not the relationship is repaired, their return speaks to the strength of what you built together. As we conclude this journey through the 7 reasons why they came back after you've given them distance, remember that your worth was never tied to their return. It was always rooted in your own strength, growth, and authenticity. Their return is not the end of your story. It's just one chapter in the larger narrative of your life. In the next chapter, it's your turn to decide what comes next. Use the wisdom of Stoicism to guide you, focusing on what truly aligns with your values and goals. Because at the heart of every meaningful relationship is the ability to grow, to learn, and to move forward, whether together or apart. We've journeyed through the 7 reasons why they came back after you've given them distance. Each reason tells a story of reflection, realization, and growth. But now the spotlight shifts back to you. Their return may feel like a pivotal moment, but the real question is, what do you want? This journey wasn't just about them. It was about you discovering your own strength, your own worth, and the power of giving space not just to them, but to yourself. Space to heal, space to grow, space to redefine what you truly want in a relationship. Stoicism teaches us to focus on what we can control: our thoughts, our actions, our responses. Their return is a factor you can't control, but how you move forward is entirely up to you. Will you embrace their return as an opportunity to rebuild something stronger? Or will you see it as a moment of closure, a chance to honor the past while stepping boldly into your future? As you reflect, remember that relationships are never about settling. They're about connection, growth, and mutual respect. If their return aligns with your values and the life you've built for yourself, it can be a powerful opportunity for renewal. But if it doesn't, you have every right to choose your peace over the familiarity of the past. Before we part ways, I want to leave you with this thought. Your worth was never dependent on their absence or their return. It's rooted in who you are, the growth you've achieved, and the life you continue to build. Whether they're a part of that life or not, you have the tools and wisdom to create a future that reflects your highest self. Thank you for joining me on this journey of discovery, reflection, and growth. If this resonated with you, take a moment to share your thoughts below, because your story could inspire someone else who's navigating a similar path. Remember to subscribe if you're passionate about learning, growing, and applying the timeless wisdom of Stoicism to relationships and life. Until next time, I wish you strength, clarity, and peace in every step of your journey. Take care and keep moving forward.